Ever wondered why some relationships seem to drain you both emotionally and physically? It's a question that might keep many of us awake late into the night. In our quest to find the perfect partner, we often overlook potential warning signs or red flags that suggest the relationship might not be as healthy as it should be. These red flags are subtle indicators, little whispers of caution that something isn't quite right. They are the early signs of potential issues that could escalate into major problems down the line. Ignoring them is like driving a car with the check engine light on. It might run smoothly for a while, but eventually it's bound to break down. The importance of recognizing these red flags cannot be overstated. They serve as the universe's way of telling us to slow down, to reassess, and sometimes to change course entirely. They are the subtle hints that the woman you're dating may not be the best fit for a healthy, fulfilling relationship. But let's be clear, this is not about blaming or demonizing women. It's about understanding that, just like men, women come with their own unique sets of challenges and issues. And sometimes, these issues can make them unsuitable partners, at least until they've worked through them. It's also worth noting that these red flags are not always obvious. They could be hidden beneath layers of charm, beauty, or seemingly genuine affection. That's why it's crucial to stay alert, to listen to your intuition, and to be honest with yourself about what you're experiencing. Because the truth is, a relationship should enrich your life, not deplete it. It should make you feel loved, valued, and respected, not anxious, drained, or undervalued. And if you're in a relationship that constantly leaves you feeling the latter, then it's time to take a step back and reassess. So, what are these red flags, you may ask? Let's dive right into it. First up is the narcissist, a type of woman who seems to only care about herself. Now, we've all met someone like this at some point in our lives, haven't we? A person who seems to always be the center of their own universe. But when it comes to narcissistic women, there are a few distinct traits that set them apart. One of the most noticeable characteristics is their lack of empathy. Narcissistic women struggle to understand or share the feelings of others. They may come across as emotionally detached or uncaring. This lack of empathy can lead to a one-sided relationship where your feelings, needs, and opinions are often sidelined. Another red flag is an excessive need for admiration. Narcissists thrive on praise and compliments. They love to be the center of attention and will often go to great lengths to ensure they remain there. This excessive need for admiration can become draining, especially if it seems like your primary role is to stroke their ego. Manipulation is another common trait among narcissistic women. They are masters at twisting situations to their advantage, making you feel guilty for things you haven't done, or constantly shifting blame onto you. This manipulation can lead to a toxic environment where you're always walking on eggshells, trying not to upset them. These traits, when combined, can make for a challenging relationship. The lack of empathy means your feelings are often disregarded. The need for constant admiration can leave you feeling drained and unappreciated. And the manipulation can lead to an unsettling feeling of never being good enough. It's important to remember that while everyone exhibits some of these traits to a certain degree, it's the intensity and consistency of these behaviors that mark out a narcissist. If you find yourself constantly feeling inferior or manipulated, it might be time to reconsider the relationship. Next up is the eternal victim, someone who always seems to be in the middle of a crisis. Now, we've all faced our share of troubles in life, but when you meet an eternal victim, you'll find that their life seems to be an unending saga of woes. They perpetually find themselves in the eye of the storm, or so they would have you believe. This persona thrives on constant self-pity. It's as if they've taken up a permanent residence in the valley of despair. Every conversation with them is a monologue of their miseries, each more tragic than the last. They've fine-tuned their art of spinning tales of sorrow, so much so that they could give any soap opera a run for its money. The eternal victim also possesses a remarkable skill, the uncanny ability to shift blame onto others. It's never their fault, you see. The world is always conspiring against them. Their boss is always unreasonable. Their friends are always insensitive. Their partners are always unloving. The problem, however, is never within them. This brings us to another characteristic of the eternal victim, an inability to take responsibility for their actions. They're like a ship adrift in the sea, tossed around by the waves of circumstances, but never once taking hold of the wheel to steer their course. Their life is an endless game of passing the buck, with them always at the receiving end. These traits can create a toxic relationship environment. Being with an eternal victim can be emotionally draining, as you're always expected to play the rescuer, the knight in shining armor, constantly saving them from their self-created dragons. It's a cycle of negativity that rarely leads to a healthy, balanced relationship. So if you find yourself perpetually cast in the role of a rescuer, it's time to pause and reflect. Are you in a relationship, or are you stuck in a never-ending rescue mission? Remember, a relationship is a partnership, not a perpetual rescue operation. If you feel like you're always playing the rescuer, it's time to take a step back and evaluate. Lastly, beware of the control freak, a woman who needs to have everything her way. This type of woman has an insatiable need for control, a trait that can often be mistaken for passion or intensity early in a relationship. But as time passes, you'll notice patterns of behavior that go beyond the normal bounds of assertiveness. This need for control often stems from a deep-seated lack of trust. She might constantly check up on you, wanting to know who you're with, what you're doing, and where you are every minute of the day. This isn't because she's interested in your day, but rather because she wants to keep tabs on you, to control your actions and your life. A control freak also shows an inability to compromise. She has a clear picture of how things should be and won't deviate from her plans. If you suggest an alternate idea or a different approach, it's likely to be met with resistance or outright dismissal. This rigidness often leaves no room for mutual decision-making, stifling any sense of partnership in the relationship. In a healthy relationship, there's a balance of power, a give and take. But with a control freak, the scales are always tipped in her favor. It's her way or the highway, and that can make you feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid conflict. And what's more, this control can extend beyond just you. She may try to dictate your relationships with friends and family, deciding who you can and can't spend time with. Beware, this is not out of concern for you, but a means to further establish her control. The need for control can suffocate a relationship. It can leave you feeling trapped, with no room to breathe, to be yourself. It's important to remember that a relationship should be a partnership, a shared journey where both partners have an equal say. If you're feeling confined and suffocated, it's a clear sign that something's not right. In conclusion, while it's important to understand that everyone has flaws, certain behaviors can signal a toxic relationship. We've journeyed through the world of red flags, shedding light on the types of women you should be wary of. This isn't about painting everyone with the same brush, but rather equipping you with the knowledge to protect your mental and emotional health. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. We started with the narcissist, the woman who's so obsessed with herself that she barely acknowledges your existence. She's always the star of the show, leaving you in the shadows. Remember, you're not an accessory, but an individual with your own worth and identity. Next, we delved into the realm of the eternal victim. This woman lives in a perpetual state of crisis, and you're expected to be her constant savior. A relationship with her feels more like a rescue mission, draining you emotionally and mentally. You're a partner, not a knight in shining armor. We then discussed the control freak, the woman who wants to dictate every aspect of your life, from what you wear to who you interact with. She's the puppet master, and you're the puppet. But remember, you're not a marionette. You have the right to your own choices and freedoms. These behaviors are not just red flags, they're blazing bonfires signaling a toxic relationship. Recognizing them is the first step to preserving your mental and emotional health. It's crucial to remember that everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they are valued, respected, and loved for who they are. Relationships are about balance. They're about giving and taking, understanding and compromising. They're about building each other up, not tearing each other down. Don't let yourself be swayed by charm or superficial attributes. Look deeper, listen to your gut, and prioritize your well-being. Remember, a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, understanding, and compromise. Don't settle for anything less.